So we're back to 2017, 2018, the Indooroopilly Senior Citizens Club that was, I think the building was established in 1984, so it's been here and it was big. It was a really big organisation for quite a while.
They ran about 360 members at one stage.
Yes, so
One
really
activity.
successful. I mean, they raised the funds to build a building, so you know they were no slouches. But I think one of the big risks has been that as senior citizens organisations, people get older, and to keep people engaged, and also, what do you call it? The business model was probably problematic for them, and to some extent that was because with that generation they had not been at work perhaps at the time when email became, let alone Facebook, let alone, you know, WhatsApp, all of those things. Most of them didn't have an email address. They used telephone. They used mail to notify.
Checks.
Their model was to have, they did indoor bowls. They would employ a guest speaker to come and present. They'd pay the guest speaker. Then not enough people would roll up, so then they were in debt. They would organise bus trips. They'd hire a bus because people said they'd come along and then they didn't come along on the day. And again, it didn't work.
And at the end, I think they were trying a couple of old senior citizen groups together to hire a bus. They just never had enough to fill the bus.
They knew they were in trouble. So in 2018, around about October, we had our AGM. A new committee put their hands up, and we were lucky to have a group of people who were who joined us. And so we weren't starting from zero. Our development officer at the time suggested that we could look at names, we could look at what we wanted, you know, what were we trying to achieve. And so we looked at a number of different names, and one of the issues was that some of the names that would be logical actually were used for other things. So if we called ourselves a community centre, then people will sometimes get mixed up with like the Red Hill Community Centre that offers services like food packages and things. So we asked ourselves, what is it we wanted to do? And the model was we were going to offer activities to people. We
wanted to make a village square where people came and interacted. They played bocce, or we weren't going to play bocce, but we'll do other things, and they wouldn't know it. But before they knew it, they'd be friends. They'd
be socially interacting, yeah. And I think it was Kelly's suggestion that hub is a popular word, so that's how we got our name. And that's where we started from. And we're trying to separate some of the admins. So even though I'm still doing all the secretarial and reporting compliance stuff, someone's taken over membership from me now. And then there's someone else who said, I can do membership. So when she's learnt membership, that other person will take over, Martine will take over activities and events. So I won't need to manage that. And that structure is partially due, or a lot due to Kelly, who suggested we needed to do some strategic planning. And we actually developed our structure from that 2019 strategic planning meeting, as well as our vision and mission statements and stuff. And they've been really useful. Another one of our members, Tony Rose, said, look, you can't run an organisation without rules. And he really encouraged us to get a set of rules, and they've paid off too.
Donna's been big on procedures too.
Policy, precedent.
Policy, precedent. I go with precedent, but policy I'm slow to narrow action down into policy, but Donna is better at it. And you see how good it is that when a situation comes up, you go through your, what's this? Oh, hang on, this is this. You know, this is what we should be doing here and what we should not be doing.
Our policy on Hulaya is this.
You know?
But I don't think we could have done it without this committee. And the very fact that our decision making has been 100% better because we keep bringing it back to the committee to say, well, what do you think, guys, about this? And if it could be via a Zoom meeting during COVID or a flying minute, via text, whatever, people have been very helpful and responsive and thought it through, you know. Indooroopilly is a very multicultural venue, you know, and we've got people from all over the world coming along to activities here. at our strategic planning meeting we had, because we were worried about succession planning this year, and we had a strategic planning meeting. One of our members said, you know, they feel welcome and included, and that it was multicultural. It was, and we have people from all walks of life, all levels of education, all socioeconomic groups. So I think that's one of the things that I like about it, because this is a very diverse community. I think I like it because it's rewarding, because you see people happy here. And I don't think it was, when Frank said, okay, let's do this, I said, okay, well, I'll be secretary. I didn't know what I was taking on. I've learnt with the job.
I come down here, I go to a lot of the activities, not to partake, I work here, I make things for the hub. I walk in and the smiling faces. You can't not be cheered up by seeing the people dancing to music, and badly in some cases, better in others. And I do a bit, mimic a bit. You know, it's everyone's happy. It's good for people to come down, and even if they don't partake in a discussion, if they sit there and they're listening, they belong.
They're part of a community, and they don't need to be social skilled to do it.
No.
So we kind of had that hidden agenda, which was we wanted it to be an opportunity for people to socialise, but not a social club.
As far as I'm concerned, if you get 4 or 5 people in a group, they're going to enjoy it. It's not 1 or 2 talking heads, it'll be 4 or 5. And some people admit, they'll come into a group and they say, I didn't contribute much. I say, did you enjoy it? Oh, yeah, I like listening.
I don't think it's healthy to have the same people in a position
you've got
for
to
more
change.
than 5 years. So 2018, Frank was a vice president and I was secretary, and now we'll be there till 2023, but hopefully get replaced. But then it's a matter of getting people to, the challenge is getting people who have the skills to do it. And it doesn't have to be done the same way we do it, but there are some things that you really have to be able to do to keep an organisation going now. And a lot of them are IT based. You know, you can't organise a group as big as this, about 350 people of members now, without email. Martine, one of our members, set up our Facebook page. We were lucky. She was marketing background, so she's done a great job there. And I think that anyone who takes over has to master distribution groups, cloud computing, and their challenges. They're going to be challenges for us. If you want someone to replace you, you've got to tell them how to do it. Yeah. So actually trying to put it down so that someone can replicate it.
If you're after members, your best membership is your current members, even if it's only half a dozen. Right?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
It's really good.
Ask them if they know anyone who's got similar interests to them or that they're friendly with, and invite them down. You know, that's better. You've got to forget all other organisations. If you've come from a workplace, if you want workers, you advertise or you make it known you've got a position, you know what you're selecting, etc., etc. Here, the structure is completely different. We still nominally need the roles of secretary, treasurer, president, etc., because that's just dictated, you know. But every person here is a recruiting agent for the hub, because we model what you do. If you're in a group and someone comes to the door, you get up, you meet them, you bring them in, you get a cup of coffee or tea in their hand, a biscuit maybe, and bring them in and sit with them into a group. You know, I've come from other places where that's no one's job. Now, there's anyone who'll do it here. They'll just pick up the job and do it.
And I think that everybody's got something to offer and everybody's got something to give, and that's an exchange. And I think that people will feel more included if they feel they have a role to play, whether it's the help with the working bee or the help tidy up afterwards or the help pack up. It doesn't matter what they do. They might bring some food for the group to share. It doesn't matter what they do. It's not just about coming and getting something. It's about coming and giving something as well. and just doing what they want to do, not what we're asking or demanding. We never demand. We just advertise our work in B and people show up. It's fantastic.
People have always said to me, why don't you delegate? I said, you don't delegate
in a
volunteer organisation. It's you ask them if they can help you with something, and they'll help you, and then the next thing you know, they're volunteering.
Well, it's about engagement, isn't it? If you don't have engagement, you don't have an organisation, and a volunteer organisation, you don't have any volunteers unless they're engaged. So if people don't take ownership, then and how do you get people engaged? Well, you share the decision-making processes. If you make them feel that you're a management, then you end up with people saying, oh, can you fix this for us, or can you do that for us? Whereas we're all volunteers. Sure, we'll try and get it fixed. Can you help? You know, that's a different orientation.
Some people assume I'm the janitor. If they're only in passing here, you know, because they see me with the drill and fixing things, you know, it's a constant work. It's like having a big old house.
Yeah.
With nearly 400 people using things and breaking things. You know, I've had a politician ask me about over in another suburb. He says, how do I get started? I said, well, look, he said, we can't get a building. I said, well, you don't need a building. You know, for social interaction, you just need a place where you can put your cup down, you know, and chat. And I said, pick a coffee shop, you know, and pick it after their peak hour, so they're not going to mind the fact that there's 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 people sitting around a couple of tables talking for an hour or so, you know, and make that regular, and then ask people to, you know, brainstorm or just think of what activities would we like doing. We would like to have a movie group, you know. Would we like to, you know, have a tour of the city? You know, what do we want to do?
Yeah, I mean, it isn't a distinct advantage to have a venue. It does make a difference to have a venue.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of our pluses. There was a senior citizens hall. We got help from the City Council, who wanted it to work. You know, clearly they wanted it to work. And I guess from a demographic point of view, there was a need for this kind of a thing in this area. But then I think it's moving on from there, isn't it?
Yeah, if it's not working, they already have a place.
Yeah.
You know.
Then you've got to work.
You've got to break
why
that
isn't it
model
working?
a bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
You've got to ask.
Why isn't it working?
And
get an outsider in to ask the questions. Why are you doing this?
And what are the assumptions we're making that are no longer valid? So I think maybe if people want to get a group started, then the first thing to do is to get together and work out who are they and what is it they want. Why are they starting their group? Is it single purpose, or is it more generally? And how do they want to go about it? And what have they got the resources to do? Because if you aim for something that's too extensive, I think then you start to feel overwhelmed and people disengage. But if you can start incrementally, and I mean, we only started with indoor bowls, the Asian dancers who Frank recruited, and the music people, the open mic people.
Find out what they're there for. Is it a singular activity? Is it a photography group? You know, do they... look, it's hard to say. See, we knew what we wanted. We wanted community. We wanted a sense of community.
But we wanted it to be activity focused.
Activity. Because that's all you can do.
And actually, when we did our strategic planning, the first set of strategic planning with Kelly, people told us what they wanted. They wanted a place to go. They wanted things to do, something to look forward to.